For some days now, Bishop David Oyedepo has been harvesting widespread criticism over the rumored retirement of one of his highly respected pastor and bishop operating and ministering under his establishment, talking about Living Faith Church, aka Winners Chapel. Many has questioned the rationale behind the retirement of David Abioye.
I am your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I want to talk about Bishop David Abioye's retirement from the Living Faith Church. I first met Bishop Oyedepo in 1985 or 86 at the Living Word Training Center. He was wearing one shoe made by Limson, a shoe company like Bata. I was wearing the same kind of shoe. And he was talking of millions. Then he was in Kaduna talking of his vision. I said in my mind, this is a highly motivated person, a very purposeful person, a very intentional person, and he will be a strict disciplinarian. I subsequently slept in his guest house at Gowon Estate when he moved to his new house. I saw him. I told myself, this is a very enterprising person and a very frugal person. Then I went to Canaan land and I saw what was being done there. And I lifted up my hands and God said, put down your hands. Observe the principles of building these things. What they are doing here, go back home and replicate. But God didn't tell me to run a church. So I did church, it didn't work. Now, I found out that Bishop David Oyedepo works very hard. He was coming to work very early, closing very late. So he's a hard-working person. I'm sure he's very intolerant of rubbish. Now, Bishop David Abioye worked under him for 40 years, I suppose now, if not more. And for him to have worked under him without scandal, without rebelling, without destroying the system, he must be a very serious-minded person. He must have served very well. He must be very sincere within human limitations and committed to his leader. It is very difficult to work under somebody who is visionary, who is frugal, who is focused, who is a strict disciplinarian. People will always ask my workers, how do you manage to work with Dr. Apoki? He's too harsh. He's too frugal. Doesn't spend money. And if, as my level, people are still scared of how people work with me, to have worked with Bishop David Oyedepo over the years, Bishop Abioye deserves commendation. He's a man of honor and integrity. Mockery should not be made of him as if they dumped him. I've been telling pastors since I started going around Assemblies of God branches around Nigeria. I went with Barrister Azuka Obi of blessed memory, the men's director. And I was always telling pastors that one day I was in a church in Fox Road to preach, and CIC Okereke, the former district superintendent and pastor of 222 Clifford Road, Aba, was in attendance in the service. They waited until I finished preaching, and then they introduced him that he was there to worship. And I was telling pastors that you can belong to a big denomination but plan for your exit. You can belong to a big denomination. It is not a reflection of your person. And my wife will say, don't plant bottle in another person's ministry. That is to say, if you plant a bottle, the bottle won't grow. So you go to a ministry to serve God, but you must have an exit plan. You must use your experience, use your exposure, use your network, use your education to build a future. You can write books, you can do CDs, you can do broadcasts as I'm doing. I'm reaching the world. My denomination cannot stop me. I'm making impact globally. My denomination cannot stop me. Train your children, empower your wife, set up businesses that will not disturb your ministry. Don't steal from your denomination. Don't be rude to your leader. The resultant effect is that you will see that when you are retired, you have something to fall back on. Retirement is not a death sentence. It is just a refinement. And so when you are serving in a denomination, don't be carried away by the titles. Don't be carried away by the delusion of anointing. Anointing is like wine. Just be shacking you and you won't sit down to plan. So plan for your exit. Now, one of the best things that happened to me was that when I was starting ministry, I called people to join me come to Ughelli from the east. They refused to come. It's the biggest gift God gave to me. Because if they had joined me, most of them will be in their 60s now. They will have started complaining if they feel that I am the only one progressing. So it is a human nature. It's according to Chris Agiris, he said that for any normal psychologically mature adult, a time comes when his personal interest comes in conflict with organizational goals. Jacob asked Laban, is it not time for me to have my own? When I came, your flock was small. Now it has grown. Is it not time for me to have my own? That is a question that is always in the mind of any reasonable, mature adult, and is a natural desire. So leadership should provide for that kind of space, give the person a place to function. Even in marriage with my wife, I told you I left my wife, I gave her her own space to function, left the school. But we are married, we are having fun. And I always make sure she does not regret marrying me. I see her as a man that if she were to be a man in her family, she would have been contributing to her family. So I make her as much as possible comfortable and also feel relevant. The next thing is that the next generation of pastors, please don't use this to be an excuse for criminality. That is, you want to settle yourself while in the ministry. You say it is workshop, then you start stealing. Many pastors in big denominations are thieves. When they want to buy properties from us, they want us to add money to it so that they can take their own share. Many of the pastors you see under the leadership, they are thieves, many, but there are few who are still sincere. And so that theft of organizational funds will lead to disaster in your life. Don't be in a hurry thinking because they will eventually retire you or whatever thing, then you start stealing. No, you went there to serve God. You didn't go there to serve man. Each man has his own anointing, has his own space, has his own grace, and has his own race. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I hope you benefited from this, even if you are working in an oil company, working in a bank. Now, I have a webinar coming up on the 8th and on the 9th of November, tagged Becoming a Person of Influence. Send a message to +234 8021219262. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. God bless you.
When David Bishop Oyedepo, has not retired, going to the fact that he is a far elder and becoming weak to even minister from the pulpit. If you take a close look, the Bishop David Oyedepo that we know of those days is no longer as strong, as energetic as he is now. So many Nigerians are questioning the rationale behind the retirement of David Abioye while he is still in active service.